Hey everybody, so welcome to today's episode of Roto's Questions. So today I want to talk about something that's been in the media a lot lately, and when I say a lot, still not as much as it should be, especially with all the distractions that have been going on with this jet or this passenger plane that just got shot down. But I want to talk about the conflict that's going on in Israel and Gaza, Palestine right now. It's been a really hot topic as of late, and I just want to share what I think about what's going on over there. I'm not going to get into the history of the conflict because you can just look that up and it would just take way too much time. But, pretty much Israel has only been a country for 66 years. So what was going on before that? Before that, Muslims, Arabs, and Jews, they all coexisted peacefully on this land. Maybe not the whole time, but for the majority, they coexisted peacefully. I've watched videos where, some Jews, rabbis, and stuff talked about how they would babysit the Muslims' kids when they would go pray at church, and the Muslims would babysit their kids when they would go to their church. So these people were neighbors. They still are neighbors. They used to live together peacefully, just like you and me live together peacefully today. Me and my neighbor, we're not launching bombs over the fence right now, and we're when I see him we say hey and whatever, right? Help each other whenever we can. So what happened? So pretty much what happened, in as quick as terms as I can say, is the land was stolen and given to Israel to have a Jewish state, which is, I don't know, there's a lot of things wrong with that, and arguments can be made for both ways. I'm not here to debate that. I'm pretty much here to say that Jews are not to blame here. Judaism, the religion, is not to blame here. It's the Zionist occupation government that has taken over Israel. Well, they started Israel in the first place, but they're the ones to blame. It's the same as just like the Canadian people aren't to blame for schools and hospitals being bombed in Afghanistan and Libya. That's not the Canadian people doing that. That's just our occupational government that's doing that. There's a big difference. So I don't want people to start hating on Jews or the Israeli people because they're not the ones doing it. There's just, even right now in Israel, just if you look at what's going on in Israel right now, there's protests everywhere. The Israeli people do not support what's going on in Palestine right now. They don't support their government bombing and just killing kids. There's kids that were watching the World Cup on the beach that got bombed. What does that have to do with Israel's right to self-defense or whatever the hell reasons they're using to justify this invasion of Gaza? Kids watching the World Cup on a beach is not a threat to anybody. So this is just crazy. I just want to point out that it's not the Jewish people, it's not the Israeli people doing this. It's just the Zionist occupational government. And if you want to know more about them, just look it up, because it would take me forever to actually go into what Zionism is and who the people behind this movement are. So there's tons of videos out there on YouTube, tons of sources and stuff about where rabbis are talking about that Zionism is not Judaism, and there is a huge difference. Rabbis are against Zionism and their corrupt ways, and Zionism is only 100 years old, where Judaism is 2,000 years old. Give or take a couple decades or whatever. And Zionism is just used to persecute others, pretty much. That's all it is. It's just steal land, kill people, and anyone that has a problem with that, take care of them as well. So my big thing is, like, with the Israeli people, not the Israeli people, but the people doing this to Palestine, is a lot of the time they say, oh, well, the Holocaust was done to us and we're just defending ourselves and blah, 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 blah. They use that as a justification for this genocide of the Palestinian people. But, just because you were a victim of the Holocaust does not give you the right to inflict another Holocaust on somebody else. That's wrong. That if anything, you should be the one standing up for the Palestinians, knowing what it's like to go through a Holocaust, what it's like to have a genocide inflicted on your people. That does not give you the right to inflict that on another people. And, this whole Holocaust thing, let's just remember that the Jews were not the ones who had the most casualties in World War II. They make it seem like that because they make such a big story out of it and all of this to justify what they're doing now. But let's just remember that there's about 4 million people, 4 million Jews that died during World War II. Obviously that number may not be accurate, but I think it was around there. There was over 20 million Russians that died in World War II. Do you see the Russians going around like killing everybody and invading this country and whatever? And the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, that's a totally different thing. We won't get into that. But even with that, there's not all these. There wasn't 500 Ukrainians that got killed in the last 2 weeks. There's not Ukrainians getting bombed while they watched the World Cup. So, you don't see Russia being like, oh, well, 20 million Russians died 70 years ago, so that gives us the right to go bomb the shit out of your country, right? So, come on. Some people need to grow up and stop using that as an excuse. And another problem I have, Israel is a nuclear state, meaning that they have nuclear weapons. And, let's put it simply, nuclear weapons aren't cheap. It's not $50 for a nuclear warhead. It's more like probably like 50 million or 5 million or something just ridiculous. And they have more than one. So my problem with that is a country that's spending so much money developing nuclear weapons, why does that country need foreign aid? Canada gives Israel foreign aid every single year. I'm not sure of the exact amount. I was kind of lazy on looking it up. I didn't feel like doing it. But I know the United States gives them $3 billion a year. Israel is the #1 recipient of foreign aid from the United States. Why? These people are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on nuclear weapons and and weapons technology and their military. Why are we giving them foreign aid? And that's our tax money being given to kill other people. And a lot of people don't think about that. A lot of Canadians don't think about that because, what it really boils down to is that all Canadians here that pay taxes are complicit in genocide in Palestine. And that's huge. Who wants to have that on their mind? Thinking that, oh, I went to work today and I helped kill some Palestinian kid on the beach. But it's true. That's something we have to think about. And a lot of people don't want to look at that because they don't want to be an accessory to murder and whatever. But that's what we are, myself included. I pay a limited amount of taxes, but either way, I still pay taxes, whether it's GST or fuel tax when I buy gas or whatever the hell. So we, as Canadians, are complicit in the murder and genocide of these people, and we need to understand that. Doesn't mean that we're bad people. We just need to wake up and start asking questions and start telling our government, why are you giving them money? Why are you giving them the money I work for? So we need to start doing something about this and stop letting our government give money to murderers, because that's what they are. They're murderers. Okay, so one other thing is that for the IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Forces, the #1 cause of death, they're saying they're at battle and they're defending themselves and they're at war and they're getting bombed and all this. So you would think, the #1 cause of death is, oh, well, Palestinian rockets or something. But no, the #1 cause of death in the Israeli Defense Forces is suicide. It's crazy, right? But it's not so crazy if you think about it. Every 2 weeks, an Israeli soldier commits suicide. But why? I guess they can only live with bombing kids in hospitals for so long that eventually they just got to take their own life. I mean, at least that's what it's boiled down to me. I mean, if I was bombing kids in hospitals and beaches and stuff, I don't know how long I could live with that. So, and then even with that, there's lots and lots of Israelis right now in jail for refusing to serve in the military. Because in Israel, everyone has to serve in the military. I can't remember for how many years, 2 or 3 years, something like that. But everyone has to. It's mandatory. And so there's lots of people that refuse to go and serve in this military because they refuse to participate in the war crimes that Israel is committing. So these people get sent to jail. It's crazy, I know. So, another thing, like Israel, the way they justify it is, we have the right to exist, we have the right to a Jewish state, and we have the right to self-defense, So some things, there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has the right to exist and, have self-defense, but when you're going to say that, the same applies to anyone else. The Palestinians have a right to exist, they have a right to self-defense, and they have a right to have their own state as well. Why is Israel denying them that right while they're claiming that right for themselves? It's not. It doesn't just work for one group of people. Like, yeah, you guys have rights over here, but you guys over here, no, you don't have rights. No, sorry, it does not work like that. Everyone has those rights. If you want to claim those rights for yourself, you have to give them to everyone else, including your neighbors. And also Israel, in this current conflict that's going on right now, they've been using illegal weapons that are illegal when it comes to, like the war standards, or I don't know what it's called, but you're not allowed to use these weapons in war. Something like white phosphorus. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And in the conflict that went on, I don't know, was last year or 2 years ago, they were using depleted uranium. That's also illegal. So there's just so many things wrong. So just, for me to put it simply, it's just, there's nobody supports what's going on in Palestine except for, the occupational governments, like the Rothschilds, all the countries and banks that they control, all the people that are making money off of this. They're the ones that support this. The Palestinians don't support this. The Jewish people don't support this. The Israeli people don't support this. The Canadian and American people, the ones that are funding this, don't support this. So no one supports this. There's protests all over the world right now of people that don't support this. So why are we still letting our government get away with this shit? I was at a protest last Friday at the Alberta Legislature, and I was actually surprised. There was a lot more people than I thought there would be, because it just shows, Canadians don't support this. So there's protests everywhere. We don't support this. Let's stop letting our government get away with murder, because that's exactly what's going on. So that was just my thoughts on what's going on here. And so pretty much what I'm asking you guys is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Maybe you didn't know before, but now you know. Our taxes are complicit in murdering people. So how do you feel about that? What are you going to do about it? You can write a letter to your MP, write a letter to Stephen Harper, go to some of the protests. I'm pretty sure there's another one going on this Friday in Edmonton. I'm not sure where and when yet, but I'm pretty sure if you just do a little research, you can find out. Or in whatever city, country, wherever you are, there's stuff going on all over the place. So just be aware. Don't believe all the crap you see on the news. And yeah, just start asking questions, start getting involved. Thanks. I'd like to hear what you guys think about this issue, as I know a lot of people are talking about it right now. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.